And last here we have Near. What do you have
Wow.
for us?
So I watched Hotel Inhumans.
Yes, Inhumans, I believe, was one of those series that we kind of were anticipating quite well, a lot in the preview show, I believe, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So this is by Studio Bridge.
Uh huh.
They did, what is this? Pharmagia, which I think someone covered. I forget if it was you, Spire, or if it was Toast.
Formagia. I think I might have covered Formagia. I know I think I did. I think I
No, I don't think
covered the
anyone. No one covered this. No, 1,000,000% covered this. Nope.
Okay.
This
I feel
was
like we
something
talked about it.
we talked about in the preview.
Right. Right.
I saw. I think so. They did the new Shaman King. They did
Yeah.
Talentless Nana, which was I think somebody definitely covered. Um, they did. Oh, they did Mitsutomoe. What the hell? But yeah, they did a bunch of like weird stuff. Oh,
Yeah.
they did that one like Muhyo and Ryuji's Bureau of Supernatural Investigation or whatever, right?
Yeah.
The one that we kept clowning on, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
They've been around for a bit. Pretty small studio, it seems like. They
Mm.
kind of seem to pop their head up every once in a while. I'm assuming they're probably a assistant production studio for the most part in terms of keeping the lights on. But yeah, this is Studio Bridge main production. This is a web manga original. Um, as for the cast, I didn't really look too deep into this. Director Tetsuro Amino, done. A lot of storyboarding. This might be. Is this his directorial debut? Oh no. It seems like he's done. What the is this? Okay. He's done some directing on some. It seems like more like kids shonen stuff.
Yeah, and he's
Some
kind of
older
bringing in
stuff
similar
as
people
well.
where it's like again his uh, partner in crime, right? Yonemura Shoji, who's doing the series composition and scripting, is also
Yeah.
kind of more on the shonen slash like kids stuff, fairy tale stuff, a little bit of I think Pokemon,
Yep.
Anpan
Yep.
Man,
Yep.
stuff like
Some
that. Yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh here and there as well.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah. Um. Other than that, I think the only other really, I think, kind of noteworthy staff here is the music, which is, I guess, Koharu.
Mhm.
Doesn't seem like they're credited on really much else, but the music in the series is pretty good. Um, yeah, the basic premise for this is uh, it's a pretty much purely episodic series about a hotel that's run um, in sort of the perspective of two concierges for this series, and the hotel, which seems to be um, a relatively normal hotel, but they also double as sort of a hotel that assists with and helps out the sort of criminal underbelly, specifically in regards to hired killers, assassins, stuff like that. Um, and the structure of the series is sort of 3 to 4 episode mini arcs that focus on one person. And the general theme is the idea of uh, humanizing the inhuman, right?
What do you
Um,
mean by that?
so we have our two main characters here. The female lead is Sarah Haizaki, and she's sort of a cool, calm, collected sort of, um, you know, uh, I don't necessarily want to say jaded, but she's, emotionally cold, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of focused on, just doing her duty as a concierge, and sort of being, you know, um, just doing her job, right? And then you have the male lead, which has a bit more focus, at least so far anyway. Which is Ikuro Hoshi, and he hates his job. He hates working here. He hates people that kill for money. He hates the sight of blood. And as the series sort of goes on, it seems to be sort of him realizing that even though these people are killers, even though they kill for money, most of these people they have a reason for doing so, right? Whether that's protecting the people they love, or they've put into circumstances where they don't really have any other choice, stuff like that. And the series kind of explores that kind of the why of what they're doing, um, and sort of exploring who the person is outside of the job, right?
Mhm.
The assassin job. And so it's not really
So
like a
this is
series
mainly
about.
it's not like an expanding is it it's an expanding cast, I guess, though,
No,
right? No, it's not an
no.
expanding cast though, right?
The arcs are they're pretty isolated.
Huh, okay.
There's a little bit of character development here and there with the two leads, but in terms of like the cast, it's like the only persistent cast so far. Anyway, there might be an addition here and there, but it seems like the only persistent cast is the two concierge, and it's
Okay,
mostly
okay,
about
okay.
them helping out the guests. And once the guest's
Okay.
arc is over, they're gone basically, right? They move
Mhm.
on the story. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah,
So it's a lot more like it's a very interesting variation of the whole again like Journey series, or it's I guess the good version of you were the one who covered the I know identity or whatever, right? AI no
yeah,
identity
yes,
or
yes,
identity or whatever it was,
yeah,
the whole like
yes,
genetic whatever the fuck, right thing. It's
yep.
like the good version of that, right?
It's a better version of that, I'll say.
Okay, 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 okay.
Because I do think this series has some issues for sure. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, um, yeah, it's kind of I think I made sort of this comparison. Um, but fuck, I forget its name every time. The fucking the afterlife bartender thing, where the MC had like the white hair. It's pretty popular.
Mm.
I always forget the name.
Wait,
But
wait, which one?
the Death Parade, is that it?
Yeah,
Death Parade?
Death Parade, yes.
Yes, yes. It's kind of like that, where it's like taking a character and they're sort of kind of emotionally trauma dumping, and then the
Hmm.
characters are like, oh, it's okay, we'll help you out. It's kind of one of those, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yes. But instead of doing like going full into the death game, it's more just like there's just some other like events happening, kind of,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, like the first arc is this killer that's sort of he was adopted as a kid by this gang, basically, like effectively like a yakuza gang, and was forced to become a killer. And the way they forced him to be a killer is they held his younger sister hostage, basically, right? Um, and they were like, if you can like keep doing your job long enough for your sister to turn 20 years old, we'll let you go, right?
Hmm.
Um, and apparently, like the day of, um, the old man that adopted him like died, right? And so the younger, um, like heir, I guess, took over and betrayed him, basically. And so he goes to the hotel for like refuge, and he's like, help me get my sister back, right? Like they betrayed me, help me get my sister back. And
Hmm.
I guess one of the rules of the hotel is that the concierges like they can't say no, basically, right? Like if somebody makes a request of them, like they have to help, basically. Um,
Okay.
and so the arc sort of goes through, and it's like, because the first arc is pretty short. I think it's only 1 or 2 episodes. Um, but they kind of lure the the new boss into the hotel, and they sort of beat up his goons and they interrogate him, and they're like, "Where's the sister, right? Like, why'd you betray him?" Stuff like that. And at the end of it, it's like, yeah, the sister was killed, right? Like they killed her. But it's revealed like later on that while she was held hostage, she had like a secret family and a daughter. And then when the assassin dude goes to his sister's grave, finds the daughter, and it's like a sort of bittersweet kind of ending, right?
Mhm.
And so far, the arcs have kind of followed that general, like, bittersweet tone, where it's like, um, someone who has
Yeah,
done
that's how it
bad.
usually is. Yeah.
Yeah, someone who has done bad, but isn't necessarily, entirely a bad person. Um, you know, Regardless of the fact they still get some sort of, karmic punishment, but there's like a silver lining to it, right? There's some
Hmm.
sort of, emotional catharsis there. And sometimes it hits, sometimes it misses. I think the first two arcs are they're pretty good. The characters in them are they're likable. I think the third one that it's on right now, that's kind of in the middle of, I'm not I'm not really fucking with. The character that it's focusing on is kind of just like really boring. Her motivations are kind of like really not that interesting. Um, so yeah. Um, but yeah, that's kind of just like the basic gist of it. The the story's not bad at at all in my opinion, but I do think it kind of suffers a little bit from being so disconnected. Like the arcs are kind of just like they're very isolated, right? And obviously the concierges are gonna like
What do you
grow a
mean
little
by that?
bit.
Because it's like, what do you mean by that?
Um,
Like,
I mean, I just feel like the arcs kind of like start and end, and it's like they're good as sort of like a self-contained story. Um,
uh-huh.
but I feel like there's really no like once the arc is over, it's like there's no callback to it at all, right? It's like
Would you like a callback
obviously
in terms of
we're
like character development, or what's going on here?
I mean it doesn't necessarily have to be constantly happening, but it would have been
Uh-huh.
nice because the the first arc is pretty short. The second arc is pretty good and focused on the male dude, and then the third arc so far seems to be focused more on the female concierge, right? So, granted, there hasn't necessarily been enough time to like go back to the male dude and see if he has, his attitudes have changed or progressed, or he'll sort of go through another arc and he'll go, oh, this kind of reminds me of that other dude that I was, helping out. Um, but to me, it kind of feels like, start, end, move on, and it's almost like a completely indeterminate amount of time has passed, and it feels they feel like blocks, you know what I mean, and not necessarily like
Hmm.
a sort of, I guess, continuous influx of new clients that they have to deal with. You know what I mean?
In a sense,
Um,
though, it don't like most kind of, and I say again, kind of going back to like journey variants, right? Um, Stuff like Mazuno Tabi Tabi, stuff like
yeah,
it
I
don't.
do agree. I do
Yeah.
agree, and I get what you're saying. I know where you're going with this, but I genuinely cannot put this into like specific, concise words. But this one
Mhm.
just feels more isolated. You know what I mean? Like
I think it's probably like what's happening is like, um how do I say this? The It feels like, so it's like, my guess, I'm trying to like analyze, or rather I'm trying to put it into words like similar as to what you're trying to do. And I feel like what's happening is like the happenings are big, relatively big, right? But like they're the context and the environment and the setup, like the physical setup, right, is quote unquote too small. Because if it was like for instance, like if it was like Apocalypse Hotel or something like that, right? Where yeah, like still there are like things happening, but it's like it feels like the events are consummate with their or corresponding with their environment, right? So it's kind of like it feels like a natural flow of things, right? A lot of the journey stories, right? Again, something like Kingdom Tabi, Majin Tabi Tabi, stuff like that. Even to a lesser extent, Spice and Wolf, although Spice and Wolf is a little bit more continuous, they have these big things happening, but the characters are also taking like journeys like way away. So it's like, let's say something happens in a village, right? Afterwards, they're just like, hey, I'm going away from this village, like forever. Like I am going 50 million miles away from this village into a kingdom or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But in this one, what's happening is there's a big thing and it feels like there should be some impact, but then they're just gonna go back into the hotel. So it's like, kind of thing. I think that's
Yeah.
maybe what's happening. My guess.
Maybe. Um, but yeah, it's not like the biggest knock against this series.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
it is just a slight incongruence I've noticed that I was kind of
Right.
just like, this feels odd. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not really something that I can really nail down and put my finger on, but it has an odd, somewhat awkward feeling to it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I said, the first two arcs I enjoyed. I think they're pretty good. The third one, I'm not really fucking with too much. So I imagine this is probably going to be like a series of relative hit or misses.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, not all these sort of journey series can have constant, good little arcs, right?
Right.
Sometimes they do, but yeah. Um, in terms of audio visuals, they're pretty standard. They're pretty serviceable. The color palette is um, standard. It's pretty normal.
Mm-hmm.
The motions are decent. There's not really any like action in this series, which is might come as a bit of a surprise considering it's dealing with like killers and assassins and stuff. Um, there is an action sequence in episode one. Well, there's a few action sequences, but like in terms of like when it's usually showing these, assassins doing their job, it kind of just cuts away at like the killing shot or whatever. It's not
Is there
like
gore? Is there any gore or no?
there's there's blood, but it's not like it's not like a
It's not
bloody
like
series. You
Togenaki.
know what I mean?
It's not like
Yeah,
Togenaki.
it's
Yeah.
not like it's showing somebody getting domed, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it is
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
it isn't shy about like, yeah, this guy just got fucking stabbed. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
they're bleeding, there's blood.
Yeah.
But it's not like, you're not gonna see somebody get domed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah, there's not really like actions. It's usually like in terms of an assassination, it's like a
Silhouettes.
guy walks into a room, shoots a guy, walks out of the
Okay.
room. It's
Oh,
very
okay.
like
Okay. I see.
calm, cool, collected kind of stuff.
Indirect. There's no like direct. Oh, I'm punching you face, as you said. Like it's more like
Yeah,
indirect. Like you're seeing one person or the other usually.
there is like I said, the first episode is a bit more actiony because it's like he got betrayed. He's getting chased down. There's like a car chase. There's a couple explosions. There's like the fight in the hotel, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not like it's very kind of like character runs at another character, they swing their arm, it cuts to black, there's like the knife, shiny swish, and then it's like the character's like down on the ground. It's kind of old school that way. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not really got the Sakooks going on, but it does its job. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
It's
Without
not
being
like it's
distasteful necessarily.
yeah, it's not like it's fucking incoherent or like impossible to follow. But yeah, I think it looks decent. The general color palette is you know, it's sort of grimy when it needs to be, warm when it needs to be. Strikes a good balance, I think.
Mhm.
But yeah, the audio visuals are very serviceable. The OP is Mr. Moonlight by Imase. I like the track quite a bit. It's sort
Mhm.
of this snappy kind of funk, um, you know, jazzy kind of thing. The visuals are pretty standard. They do the job well. The ED is Merry Go Round by Noah. The track is nice enough. The ED visuals are pretty lazy because they do this thing where it's like they change every episode. They sort of they do either like a montage of like what happened in the arc, or they kind of like fill in gaps of something that necessarily might have
Oh, what the
happened but
fuck? Okay.
wasn't entirely shown within the episode itself.
Uh-huh.
But it is effectively like stills. Um, so not the best visuals on the ED, but
Uh-huh.
um,
Exactly.
you know, the voice cast is pretty good. Um, the two leads, the male lead is done by Yusuke Kobayashi, who's one of the many Mr. Protagonist mans. He's famously Subaru from ReZero.
Uh-huh.
He's doing a pretty standard MC role here. He's doing a kind of sort of, um, he's kind of a nerdy character, so you kind of know what to expect from his voice in terms of that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah is voiced by Hinano Shirahama. She's, from what I can understand, pretty much a complete newcomer to the anime industry. I don't know if
Huh.
she has any like video game roles. Maybe she's got like some mobile game roles or something. But she seems like a pretty much complete newcomer, from what I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
And she does a decent job. Again, she's doing a very sort of uh, cold, emotionally, um,
Yeah, apparently this is her
distant.
first. This is her first named role and her
Yeah,
first main role as well. Like period. So.
yeah, she does
Okay.
a pretty good job. There is a bit of sort of comedic banter between the two because it's like the whole idea of them being so like polarly opposite.
Mhm.
And she kind of plays these sort of, you know, do your fucking job kind of thing, and then um,
Mhm.
Ikuto is kind of the more energetic, overreacting kind of guy. Um, yeah, she's pretty good in this, I think.
Mhm.
Um, and then the other characters. I mean, there's not any like super. I don't think there's any like super big names in here because again, a lot of them don't really have like a lot of screen time. But they do pretty good jobs. I will. The one I do kind of want to shout out is Seiichiro Yamashita. He does the sort of focus of the second arc, and he's like this like hyper autistic, like super perfectionist guy. That's like
Uh-huh.
he's like a like calm, cool, collected, trained killer dude that has to do everything. Like everything has to go according to plan, basically. Um, but he's like this sort of twist with him is he's got this wife who's like super like lovey-dovey and like energetic, and he's like constantly like monotone and cool and collected, and she's like the only person like he's ever met that's able to sort of rattle him and like take him by surprise. um and there's some really cute sort of back and forth that they do in their little arc.
Right. The dialogue.
Um, yeah, I think he does a really good job with that kind of role. Um, but yeah, I don't have a super lot to say about this. It is kind of just it's a hotel series, right? We've
Mhm.
had a surprisingly condensed sort of stint of these.
Mhm.
Kind of starting with Tasakata Hotel, and then we had Apocalypse Hotel, and now we have Hotel Inhumans.
I think what's also happening, I mean, there have been also these sorts of series that have been kind of bubbling up, especially in the manga world for a decent amount, right?
For
And I
sure,
think
yeah.
what authors are kind of finding out is like, um, I kind of rail on obviously isekai authors for doing like high fantasy stuff because they're being lazy, but I think for this, it's sort of like a more decent variant of this quote unquote laziness, where in a journey series, right, where one character is seeing many people, or a set of characters is seeing many people throughout the episodes, right? What happens is that in a Jersey series, they have to the author constantly has to make these fucking
Yeah,
worlds, right?
you have to come up with new locations and
Yeah, and you're like, God
cultures and
damn it.
towns and
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
for these hotel series, it's very much like the characters come to
Them. Yeah, exactly.
the main characters, right? Like the
Yeah.
quirky characters are coming to the main character, and so you kind of only
Mm.
have to write the characters, and
Yeah.
less so the setting,
Yeah.
the
You only have to write as
potential.
much of the setting as they want to do like exposition
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. So I
Um,
think.
so yeah, it makes sense that we're seeing a bit more of these.
Mm.
Because again, there are a few of these out there. And a good few of these manga are pretty popular. But yeah, it is just kind of funny that we're seeing them kind of back to back in a way. But yeah, I guess I would say in regards to that, in terms of like this sort of trio of hotel series that we have, I'd probably say this one might be, and again, this is pretty early, but this one
Mhm.
might be the weakest start, I'd say. I
Mm.
do think there's potential for this to get better, whereas when I covered something like, say, Tasukade Hotel, I think the start was really good,
Uh-huh.
and then as it went on, I think it got rockier for me.
Uh-huh.
I think
What
the
about the
start,
Apocalypse Hotel?
I think Apocalypse Hotel was like great. It
Yeah, all
was
the way
like good.
throughout.
It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like good throughout. I think Apocalypse Hotel was really fucking good. But I think with this one, it's like not the greatest start. Like it's not really an explosive start. It's a
Mhm.
pretty like you kind of know what you're getting into kind of thing. But I think this one is kind of easier to read. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, yes,
Um,
yes. It feels like it's going to develop into something really good. Like it'll mature into something.
yeah. It'll get good, like it'll get really good, or it'll remain relatively
Yeah,
standard, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
not necessarily bad,
Oh,
just
okay.
like a known quantity kind of thing. You know what I mean? I don't think it'll necessarily dip. Um, but yeah, uh, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, that's kind of just my general opinions of it. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's necessarily amazing. Um, the setting is pretty interesting. The characters are so far they are pretty good. I do like the two leads. I do like the first two arcs quite a lot. Um, but yeah, I do think it's a fairly reserved series. I think like it's not. I don't know if this is really going to try to uh branch out into anything super ambitious. But if this kind of thing is up your alley, if you like Tasukade Hotel, um, if you liked Apocalypse Hotel, you'll probably like this. I don't think it will necessarily reach those highs, but uh, it's it's inoffensive for sure. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't have the highest praise for it, but I enjoyed my time with it, I'll say. Um, but yeah.
All right, seems great. What would you rate it?
Um, right now it's sitting at a 6.5 on Mall. Um, which for Mall is pretty low, I think. Which,
Yeah, yeah. Especially since something that has like an okay premise like this.
yeah. Um, I'm not 100% sure why Mall might necessarily be down on it, but I think 6.5 is kind of fair. I might bump it up to a 7 depending on if it um gets a little bit more consistent like as it goes on. Um, but yeah, I think 6.5 is fair. Although I'm giving it like an actual 6.5 instead of a mall 6.5
Cause yeah, Mall 6.5
because
is
a mall
just like
6.5 is like a 4.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But like I think 6.5 in terms of like slightly above average, it's not like Yeah, I think 6.5 is fair.
Yeah,
is probably
essentially
what
like
what I'd give it.
6.5 is like people are already kind of like souring on it, like or iffy on it. And then 7 is like kind of like, oh, I guess this is an anime that won't watch that's like comfy. And then like 7.5 plus is like they're starting to suck its dick, essentially.
Yeah,
Now is
yeah.
how it works. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Nier. Again, this was Hotel Inhumans. I know we've had a lot of hotel series, but until we notice that the artists, like again, as I've said always, even the isekai stuff like that isn't necessarily like it's a blank box, right? It's a blank sheet of paper, blank canvas that people can write on. And it's not necessarily bad by itself, but once people become really lazy with it, that's another thing. I don't think Hotel Recipe has gotten that. The authors in it have not gotten that lazy yet, but this Hotel Humans manga again also has the potential to bloom, to burst out of its chrysalis like a beautiful butterfly. But it is a manga original anime adapted by, I believe you said it was Studio Bridge, right?
Yeah.
Studio Bridge. And if you want to kind of, go watch a variant of sort of this like journey, sort of introspecting, right? Exposition, kind of introspecting and like think dialoguing about various like happenings, events, life stories, trauma, stuff like that. And Nier said similar to Death Parade in a sense, and kind of mulling about that, and having that again be in a context that's similar to something like a Tasukari Hotel or maybe in like a journey series like Majin Tabi Tabi. Please do check this out.